Hello everyone and welcome back to the Web of Wonder. My name is Jennifer EIREEN and we have a full moon in 1 or 2 days. And this full moon is especially intense for 3 reasons. I will explain a bit about the transits and some of the information that is coming through to me in my life, what I can observe. And I invite you all to take a seat, make yourself comfortable. As always, I invite us to begin with a deep breath, just so that we can arrive in the space together. I invite you to close your eyes if you can and want to, and breathe in deeply with me. And letting it out, a gentle release. And I invite into our little session today the gentleness of the Cancerian energy that is connected with emotions, with sensitivity, with nurturing and nourishment. And I invite this video to remind you of that energy, of how that energy may feel to you and show up in your life, and to honor that energy together. Learning about astrology and taking a moment to reflect upon what may be going on in life is actually a great way for self-nourishment, because it really allows you to step back out of the intense emotions and to observe, to witness. It allows you to weave together informations, so to widen your scope of understanding, your scope of what's going on, and to connect the dots really between the past and the present and the future. It also really allows you to set your intentions. It allows you to really reflect and remember that all of this is going on in a natural pattern that we are living by, that we are attuned to, that is showing us something, that is telling us something. It's information. And we are also part of that information. We as humans incarnated into the body, we are also bringing certain informations into the world, into this life. We are channeling certain informations through our being, through how you are. And so it's important to remember, what is that information? I invite you also to really use these times of the moon cycles to take a look into your environment. A great way of understanding the information for you specifically is to actually just look around at your life. Listen to the conversations that you may overhear. Listen to the conversations inside of yourself. Listen to the topics that are coming up, the images, the art, the things in nature you perceive, the dreams that you're having, and all of the ways in which you're constantly receiving information and communicating with the world. Because every cycle will bring up very, very unique topics for each and every one of us. So some things that I may share will resonate with you, and other things I may not even be witnessing because it's so personal for you. I feel that with the Sun in Cancer, it's a great time to also connect with what is personal. What is my personal life about? Cancer is the energy of connecting to the sense of a home that is the home within your heart. And it's also really about connecting to that heart energy, which is a really strong magnetic force that actually attracts things into your life and sends out information and is connected to the natural energies and how they function in the world. And our body is a tool, is one of the natural elements that are co-creating with everything. So the Cancer energy with our sun, with our mind right now, with our illumination, our ability to see and to understand and to define things, to see the outlines of shapes, we are now at a moment where we may be connecting the dots to things and topics relating to home and heart and feeling, and all of the topics that come with home: safety, struggle, feeling relaxed and soft, feeling vulnerable, feeling open and seen and felt, and also hiding things, a part of the world, a part of life that is only seen by few, a part of the world that is very unique and very specific to only you and your lineage and your body, or just to you and yourself, your connection with life. A lot of ancestral topics right now are emerging. With the moon in Capricorn, we have our emotional self, our emotional core right now in a very earthy sign that is super focused on understanding how patterns over time create bigger structures and bigger things. It's the follow-up of manifesting. It's the not the attracting part of manifesting, but it's then the manifested part and then interacting with that manifestation. So it's understanding the structures and the systems that have become the result of those topics of home and heart and yourself and your vulnerability and your family. So let's start maybe from the beginning. I said that we have 3 reasons why this is maybe an intense time right now. And if you follow me or other astrologers sharing information, you may be remembering that we say this a lot, especially this year. But intensity is not always the same. And maybe you are also feeling that this is a new or a different type of nuance of intensity. At least that's what it feels for me. It feels at the same time more manageable. There's a higher understanding of how to navigate through, and at the same time it doesn't necessarily feel less intense, as if we're just slowly integrating the intensity into our bodies, and now we are able to access the functions again that may have been shut off during the beginning of the overwhelm. So now we have accustomed to some of the intensity, and we are able to utilize some of the functions that we bring with us. So the 3 reasons, we have the first reason being that this full moon right now is connected with the time of the solstice. So depending on if you're on the north or the southern hemisphere of the globe, this will be the longest or the shortest day of the year. And either way, it really marks the point of the peak of a cycle. It's the most exaggerated moment of a certain cycle, and after that moment the cycle will kind of turn around again and flip and go the other way. So it's really a point of celebration of the culmination of a certain energy. It's really about allowing the intensity of the energy to be received, to be understood, before then integrating the knowledge, the wisdom that comes from it, and bringing that into the next phase, into the next cycle. And in a lot of cultures, moments like this are moments to really come together and connect with the observations of the last quarter, of the last half year, and to remember and reflect on the intentions, to kind of analyze on what has been happening, so to really better understand what the cycle is all about. But also a time of celebration, a time of honoring. Because usually when we reach the peak and the culmination of the natural cycles, being the longest or the shortest day, we have come to a point where we have learned or remembered that we can only accept to go with the flow, to go with the understanding of the quality of the cycle, the benefit of the cycle, to go with the understanding of the teaching of the cycle, of the lesson of the cycle, and the understanding of the beauty of the cycle, and even the necessity of the cycle. So right now we are at a point where a lot of people are coming together to celebrate this solstice moment, to really take a moment to celebrate all of the intensity, basically. There are also some cultures which really utilize these moments as kind of an awareness of a turning point, lessons or doors to really step through. It's like with each of the solstices, we are stepping through a door. We're kind of stepping through a portal, a gateway. And after stepping through that, things will not be the same as before because the energy is now doing something else. So this may be bringing up a lot of topics, bringing things together, like a feeling of things being wrapped up and of really understanding and remembering also maybe themes that have been present in your life in the last quarter or in the last half year. But it may also feel as a time of challenge because now we've really gotten used to this energy. We finally learned to accept it. We finally remembered how amazing it actually is. And all of a sudden it turns around again. And that may cause also a moment of fear, a moment of perceived betrayal, a moment of wishing that we could stay forever basking in the glory of the sunlight or basking in the glory of the coziness of winter or in the isolation. But we have to remember that life is change, and embracing life means embracing change. So one of the challenges of these moments is that it's always reminding us of change as well. And depending on how open you are to embrace change, you may feel more or less resistant to this natural development in life. So the second reason why it's an intense moon cycle right now is because we have a grand square between certain aspects. As always with a full moon, we have an opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Cancer and the moon is in Capricorn. And oppositions are always a moment of maybe some tension. They are always a moment where two different aspects of ourself are in a moment of difference. Yeah, they're actually complementary energies, but it doesn't always feel like that. It feels sometimes as if it is just the opposite. It's a moment where we are really asked to figure out how to integrate the opposites in a way that they both contribute to the same underlying or overarching intention. What is the underlying and overarching intention of both Cancer and Capricorn? Well, Cancer really wants stability, and Capricorn also really loves stability. This is really a moment where they can get together in understanding something about stability. But the way that they access stability is different. The sun right now wants to access the stability through the emotional center and through the senses and through sensitivity and compassion. The moon right now wants to access stability through structures and authorities and rules and regulations, making things that last long, while Cancer is a sign that even though it is also maybe afraid of change, it is a cardinal sign. It is about initiating, about beginning, about starting. And it's a water sign. So it's naturally close to understanding the dynamics of flow and change. So we have that energy going on. And this is one part of the cross. So the sun and the moon are in 1 degree and 6 minutes of Cancer and of Capricorn. And then right here, we have in 29 degrees on this side and in 29 degrees on the other side, we have Neptune and Black Moon Lilith. So Neptune is in Pisces and Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo. So they're in the very last degrees of those signs, meaning they're also reaching a point of culmination where they finally weave together all of the insights that they've had traveling 30 degrees through this sign, really working with these energies. And so they're both reaching this teacher quality, this teacher archetype. As I just said, with an opposition, they are kind of interested in the same underlying and overarching theme. They're approaching it from very different perspectives. Virgo is really about understanding the sovereign self. And Black Moon Lilith is not just an ambassador for sovereignty, but is really enraged at anything and anyone who is trying to take away that independence, that freedom, and that sovereignty. Black Moon Lilith is a raw, wild, feral energy that in any circumstance is no longer taking orders from others, is no longer willing to be subordinate in any way. It's an energy that sometimes feels overwhelming. A lot of people are afraid of this energy because it's so raw, so powerful, and it's not always beautiful in the sense that we attribute it to Venus. It's not always interested in being beautiful. It's not always interested in being nice, in being pretty. It's an energy that does not care about how it is perceived, because the most important thing for it is to actually care for itself, because it has experienced a radical oppression and it is on a mission to relieve itself of that oppression. So Black Moon Lilith can really represent all of the oppressed parts of the self that are connected to the raw, wild, untamed feminine energy. And that brings all of the feminine qualities of how we receive and how we perceive the world through the abstract potential of creativity. And on the other side of that, we have Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is an energy that really opens us up to the dream world, allows us to really imagine vividly anything that is possible, and at the same time, overwhelmingly everything that is possible. Neptune is also the dream that is not the reality. It is the dream that could become the reality, or it is the dream that shall not be the reality, and it is the dream that maybe does not fit the reality, and it is the dream that maybe has become the dream for a very specific reason, and it represents also illusion and an escape from reality, an escape from groundedness. With this sign of Pisces, this is, first of all, Neptune is in the homeland, is in the home realm, where it feels super comfortable, but also this energy of Pisces is really emphasizing that these dreams and this illusion right now is really felt and noticed and witnessed in the realms of art, in the realms of religion, in the realms of spirituality, in the realms of fantasy land, of everything that is not so tangible for us. Also maybe the realms of AI, which could be attributed to Aquarius, but I also really feel that it is really Piscean to me. It's this realm of virtual reality. And so with this Grand Cross, we may be feeling a lot of tension in those areas. And Black Moon Lilith is an energy that is really loud and aggressive at times because it needs to reclaim something. And this anger is really coming from a place of an accumulation of a crossing of boundaries. So this rage and this anger really shows how much unhealed traumatic events have affected that part of the self. So anything that is still unhealed right now, anything that is still traumatic and that is really influencing that sun and moon, the topics of the home and the family and the sensitivity, the vulnerability and the heart connection, everything that is still not processed and integrated may be flaring up right now as a really deep and intense experience where we are really understanding what part of the system is still trying to overpower us emotionally, and also what systems have we really created for ourselves out of those experiences, and which of those systems actually contribute to the values that we have now, which of those systems are maybe us repeating our ancestral topics, and how can we free ourselves also from certain illusions we may be having. It is an important time to really reflect, to also take a moment to honor that rage. Yes, this rage is not something that we need to just bottle up and put aside. This rage is a really important quality because it really connects you to your primal fire, to your desire, your drive. It's life force energy that allows you to move forward when that is allowed, when it is allowed to be expressed, and when you can actually hear and understand what it has to say. So it's a beautiful moment for working with this Grand Cross in the bigger context of taking time to heal family trauma, taking time to listen and honor those unhealed parts of the self, but also making sure to be aware that there is a heightened energy right now leading us into the glamour, into the illusions, into the deceptions. And that right now it is not about following all of that, but it's about understanding how does it influence you. And I don't feel that this is about right or wrong. I don't think we need to go down a road right now of deciding what is right or wrong. I think the more important aspect here is to really understand how is it influencing you, and how does that make you feel, and how does that change and alter your approach to building your life, and how does that approach fit to you and your intentions? How does that approach fit to you and your desires? How does that approach make you feel? And is that feeling beneficial for you, or is it limiting and restricting you? And to just sit with all of that, allowing all of that information to bubble up to the surface. So the third reason why this moon may be intense right now is because it's also the first of 3 moons that are connected to the Capricorn and Cancer axis. So we have now a full moon with the sun in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn. In 2 weeks, we will have a new moon with both the sun and the moon in Cancer. And then after that, we will have another full moon with the sun still in Cancer at the very end, I think in 28 or 29 degrees. The moon again in Capricorn. So we have 3 focal points on this axis instead of just 2, as we usually have with the full moon and the new moon, and then we move to the next axis, which tells us that this is really a moment right now to give this area of our life a little bit of extra attention. And it's going to take a little bit of extra time. Another really interesting thing is that this also flips back the cycles, where for the last almost year, we first had a full moon on one axis, and after that we had a new moon. Because of this third full moon, it switches again, where we have a new moon, then we have a full moon in the same axis, and after that we will have a new moon in Leo, and then we will have a full moon with the sun still in Leo and the moon in Aquarius. We first have the new moon and then the full moon. But the whole last year, it kind of flipped and it was the other way around. It's something that I don't hear other people talking about so much, but it really got me thinking, and I think that there's a really interesting something to observe there. Yeah, this cyclical change, because it kind of shows us that the way we approach the moon cycles and kind of the internal approach that we have to access those meanings and those parts of ourselves and the meanings and the intentions of the cycles, that approach is kind of like flipping now. So we have a flipping point because of the solstice, but we also have a flipping point because instead of a full moon and a new moon in an axis, now we have a new moon and a full moon in an axis, which means we are asked now to work differently with the energy, to do the steps in a different order. So there's also a reordering happening of our approach to life, and maybe we will feel that in the next couple of weeks and months. It may be intense because it feels like a moment where there's a lot of change, and maybe we don't always feel like we're ready for that change. Maybe we don't always feel like we even want that change. Even though some parts of us may want it, there may still be other parts really rebelling. And I think those parts that are really rebelling are coming up right now. And I said there were 3 reasons why it's very intense, but of course, there's always more because there's so many aspects, and astrology is very complex. You can really go into the asteroids, you can go into the fixed stars, you can go into the lunar mansions. There's so many approaches that really open up a whole new world of extra added information. So right now I also want to mention some other aspects, which is we have Saturn also in Pisces, and we have Saturn right now in conjunction with the asteroid Nessus. And why I'm sharing this is because about 2 months ago in April, I talked about the importance of the subtle realms and the subtle information, and the importance also of the whole story of Chiron and the kind of centaur themes that are also shown to us through looking at the asteroids that are connected with the mythology. So Nessus is an asteroid that really represents to us the area of your life where you are really here to change something in your ancestral line. And Nessus is right now in direct conjunction with Saturn in 19 degrees of Pisces. So this really shows me that right now, collectively, we are really here to understand, what are we as a generation of humans who are alive right now? What are we supposed to change? What do we want to change? And what are we able to change about this lineage of humanness related to topics of Saturn, which are topics of authority, of restriction, of power, of religion, of institution, of contraction? And where are we really wanting to be better than those who have been before us, where we really want to have an impact? And I think this is really important right now, because so many topics have been coming up for me in my personal life, just really relating to this topic of father wounds, mother wounds, generational trauma, of the approaches that institutions have, how they really utilize also this Piscean energy, which is the illusion and the glamour of love, and the illusion and the glamour of compassion, also sometimes covering up some of the deeper, darker longings of constriction, of restraint, of power, of limitation, of utilizing resources and just taking them. And also collective themes and generational themes of how your body may still be affected by birth trauma from your mother or your mother's mother or their mothers, or of the lands that you are on that have just been abused over centuries and really long time spans in history. A lot of topics that are really uncomfortable, that are about the military, that are about politics, that are relating to abuse and rape, and how women's bodies are treated by men. And I think that comes up a lot right now, because we have this Lilith energy, which is really loud and vocal about the wrong and the injustice that has been done to the feminine archetype, to the feminine energy, and the understanding of the feminine qualities of life. And this affects every one of us. Women are experiencing it more often through their actual bodies, but we are all experiencing this trauma through our mind, through the emotional realm, through our ability to actually embrace and work with the yin energy. And so I feel like right now we are just really at a moment of peak insight and also peak stress. Yeah, it can be a moment of crisis. Crisis indicates a moment where there really is going to be a decisive action that decides how things will go. A crisis can lead to something beautiful. It's not inherently bad, but it is inherently calling for change. With 1 degree of Cancer, where we have this full moon, 1 degree of Cancer and 1 degree of Capricorn, we are at a square to the beginning of the conscious spark of energy forming in 1 degree of Aries. So this is like on the bigger journey through the wheel. We are now collectively at a moment right now where we are reminding ourselves of the tension that arises. We had an intention. We had a desire, we had a spark, we had an impulse. And now we need to figure out what to do with that, how to ground that into the reality, and how that is affecting our safety, our needs, our home, what we can build from that, and how that can be working together instead of just seemingly pulling in different directions. Another aspect that may bring in this intense focus on really dealing and integrating that leftover rage, that leftover confusion, is Neptune in 29 degrees is also in sextile to Uranus in 29 degrees of Taurus. So this is really reminding us that these are topics that are relating to the body. This is trauma that has been experienced by the body of people, the body of a collective, but also your body. So all of your unprocessed trauma that you have physically felt in your life is right now here to show you how it has been impacting your approach to success, your approach to business, your approach to finances, your approach to feeling secure and safe and abundant, how it has created your stubbornness and your drive, how it has created your ability to innovate, how it has limited your ability to innovate, how it has fed you certain ideas and dreams and symbols and illusions that some of them may be true for you and others may actually not be true for you, meaning they don't serve you. They don't serve your purpose. They may be true for someone else though. And Uranus is also in direct conjunction with Algol, and the suffix star in Algol is said to have a very intense energy, and there are a lot of astrologers working with Algol if you want to dive deeper into that. I'm just kind of starting to learn about it, but Algol is also called the head of the Medusa, with this black moon Lilith being in trine also to that Uranus, in opposition to Neptune, and a trine to that Uranus really just makes this energy expand. And I think it's important that we honor what has happened, that we talk about what has happened so that we can help kind of swim our way through those oceans of illusions and tune back into our inner compass, like remembering how the body, your own body, can actually do the same things as all of those technological devices that we are all crafting to help us navigate life. Like that GPS that you're using and all of those like apps to help you move through. Our body has the innate ability to do that. A lot of animals also, they have their senses still tuned, still really fine-tuned. And of course, over the stages of development, we as a human species have traded off maybe some of those abilities to strengthen other abilities, but we also have the sensorial capacity to receive information. We have the sensorial capacity to attune ourselves to the grids, to attune ourselves to magnetic energy, to understand in very abstract ways where to move and how to move and where we are called, and to remember how to become your own technology. All of those things that we are seeking from AI, remembering that we essentially also have the capacity to do some of those things. In some ways we may have really detached from that. And so reconnecting to some of those qualities and abilities will help us to swim through the ocean of illusion, because you have your own inner compass again. And the heart also becomes your own inner compass for how you want to structure your life, how you want to build your life, and how you can deal with any of those leftover traumatic, somatic pain that may be surfacing right now, that maybe really want to be expressed. And so you can stop following others and listen to yourself and listen to your heart and really find the wisdom from that depth. So those are some of the reasons why I feel this is very, very intense energy right now. And I feel we are especially asking right now collectively these topics of authority and power. How we have maybe been through power of others than ourselves. We may have been swayed in certain directions. And also, while we reclaim that power, remembering that we also reclaim the responsibility and what to do with that responsibility. Really understanding how that creates opportunity and understanding how to utilize focus to really work through these feelings without being distracted by those feelings from what you want, from what you can honor yourself to be and to become in life. Really remembering also how to bring in that focus, to also not be distracted by the constant trauma that is maybe part of the emotional illusions that happens, for example, when there are experiences saved in the body that create the response of fear to situations that are not repetitive of that traumatic experience. But because of that fear, it keeps repeating the illusion that there is danger, and that can create self-sabotage and self-contained and self-restricting. And that can also be a method how then the life is just distorted. To really bring back the focus and the intention and the awareness and the authority to yourself by understanding what has happened, by reflecting about it, and by seeing all of the subtle ways, the sensitive ways that you can redirect yourself away from some of the illusions and really contribute to crafting your dream. Not just letting other people do it for you, but really contributing yourself to deciding what you want that dream to look like and what dream you think is possible for yourself and what is needed for that dream to happen. And understanding what steps are needed from you and which authority is needed from you so that you can build your life in your home in a way that really fits what you want to heal in yourself. And lastly, we have Pluto there in the picture as well. Pluto is in 30 degrees away from the moon. That means that Pluto is quincunx to the sun. So when we have this aspect, it's like Pluto is really vocal in what's happening, but in kind of almost invisible ways, where it's not so obvious. That may bring some extra confusion. So I think one of the most important things we can do right now is to simply allow the process to happen, allow the topics to emerge, allowing those emotions to also be expressed. Like if you need to just randomly cry throughout the day, I think right now is a moment where that could happen really a lot. And if you don't understand why it's happening, maybe just allow it to happen anyways. Trusting that your body knows what it's doing and that your body naturally understands how to release stress through tears, through shivering, shaking, crying, yelling. And of course, it's good to find a safe way to do that, a safe way to express that. Maybe taking a moment where you can feel you have the space to really cry. If you feel you need to cry, then maybe leaving the office and going somewhere where you feel a bit more private for yourself. If that's what you need to feel more comfortable to just really let it out, and maybe going somewhere into the forest to yell. And if that helps you keep your environment also a safe space for others. So it may be a time right now where we feel like we're having a crisis. It's okay to be at that stage. And one of the most important things is to really embrace that Pluto quality. And that Pluto quality is letting go. That Pluto quality is embracing evolutionary change. Just remembering that is the key to bringing yourself again and again into that space of remembrance, of remembering your evolution, your life story, but that your life story doesn't stop here. It continues. And right now you have the power, not just right now, always, every moment of your life, you have the power to contribute to where your life story is unfolding. You really have the power to decide how your life will continue to unfold, and you have the power to take little steps in moving yourself forwards together with life, and life is supporting you in the evolutionary change. And those changes can be physical steps, they can be changes of the mind, they can be changes of the frequency, they can be changes of your habit, they can be changes of how you respond to a situation. They can be changes of your somatic behavior, being tense versus being relaxed, smiling versus frowning, laughing and crying. They can be just changes. And every change is impactful. Every single change is impactful. Because life is an accumulation of many, many tiny little things and moments. I think with this information, I will close the session today. I hope that you feel encouraged to safely explore whatever residual trauma you are able to do some healing work with and for, and that you remember that you can ask for support, you can ask for help, and you are not alone, that there's many communities there to support, and that change is always happening. And one of my favorite things to say is change can be good. If it's hard right now to believe that change is good, because a lot of your changes have been bad, then maybe start by remembering change can be good. And let that be enough for the moment. Thank you all so much for listening. I would be super happy if you enjoyed this, if you give it a thumbs up, if you subscribe also to the channel, and encourage me to move forward with sharing this information and connecting to all of you, sharing about your personal experiences and the images that come up for you this week. It's really incredible to learn and listen from each other. If you would like some guidance about your personal charts or some guidance through the tarot, then you can also reach me via the links below. If you would like to listen to some of my music, I just released a new song, Mama Luna Mama Sol. You can find that also in the description down below. And any other information for my social media, for my Telegram channel. So yes, happy integration. Well, thank you all so much for listening. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.